Happy Wednesday, everybody. It's me, David Brown, with this week's Design and Dialogue. And today I want to talk about a topic that I consult on and really have been consulting on for really the full 10 years that my firm has been doing consulting with architecture and interior design firms, and that is retention of talent. Retention of talent was an issue then, retention of talent is an issue now, and this all feeds into the bigger concept of being an employer of choice, which is what I do a lot of my consulting on. But this little piece, retention, I want to talk about today, not only because it's important, it has been for firm owners of large firms and small firms alike, but I do believe that with the paradigm shift in how we work and, quite frankly, where we work, the retention piece needs an update. And so today I want to talk about some retention tips and tricks that your firm can do post-pandemic in a hybrid environment, or maybe in a virtual environment, or still these work if you're bringing people to the office full-time. But I think there is definitely a different approach to retention that firms need to be aware of, and these tips will help your firm get started on that path. So let's get started. Okay, my first tip is to be transparent. It is a foundational tip, quite frankly. Transparency is the bedrock of retention. And so if you're not transparent with your employees, with the people that work for you, you're going to really have a hard time building any of these other retention practices because that is the foundation. Being open. Now, this doesn't mean giving away the farm or giving away secrets and things of that nature, but you've really got to be transparent. And transparency from a retention point of view is understanding the bigger goals. Right? Maybe it's understanding the 5-year goal, and it's your job as an owner or a leader to distill that down to something that's more acceptable for the larger group of employees. Or maybe it's really just being transparent around what your expectations of your employees are and what they need to do to meet those and exceed those, instead of a kind of a wild guessing game of how did I do or how am I doing, but really have clear understanding of what they need to do to be successful and what they can do to exceed those success limits. Both of those are acceptable, and quite frankly, I think both of those are needed, but it comes back to that concept of being transparent. And that has to be the first thing you do with all of the people that work for you, is to be transparent if you want to start a really strong retention program. The second thing is to recognize achievement. Now, this builds off of transparency because your employees need to know what they need to do to achieve their goals. But once they start to achieve or exceed the goals, really celebrating that at the larger firm level is critical. And here's where kind of the old school thinking of retention diverges a little bit now with this hybrid work environment, because maybe you're not there. Maybe there's just not a stand-up meeting where you can recognize employees that are doing well, or if Sarah did great on this, that, or the other. You need to be creative and thoughtful around how to celebrate someone's achievements if maybe all the staff is not present at the same time. This can be done obviously through emails. That's the easiest way. I think sometimes a video announcement, some simple camera like I'm doing now, put into a video and then shared out, can really be more impactful because it shows as you're being the leader, excitement and appreciation for what this employee or group of employees has done. Or maybe it's about planning a time where everyone's together to celebrate the achievement of an employee or a group of employees. It's got to take a little creative thinking on your part to not only make sure it happens, that's the first thing, because these things tend to fall away if they're not a priority, but also to plan where it happens or how it happens. How does this recognition of achievement happen at a larger scale so it can be recognized and the employee can feel good about themselves and be seen amongst their peers as doing a good job, etc. All those positive things that recognizing achievement does. The next tip I want to share if your goal is to retain talent, especially in a hybrid work environment, is to plan activities with your team. I share this not because it's obvious, I share it because it falls away. Sometimes it's not a priority. Sometimes we get so caught up in the work that we're doing that we forget to take the time to come together as a team and be a team. Now, I recommend that this happen outside of work and maybe not be a work topic, or if you do, use this to celebrate the employee, make it a small piece, but really make it about you and your employees getting together in a more casual way. Now, you need to be careful here because not everybody likes to go to the bar and not everybody is super interested in golf and things of that nature. It is up to you as the leader to make sure that it is, in my opinion, very open to anybody. So maybe a dinner or maybe something like that, and that it has an end date, right? An end time. Make sure that it's not 8 hours of their day cleaning up a park or something like that. That's good, great, and wonderful, but that may not attract everybody. This needs to be a little more thoughtful, a little more timed, and a little more directed about making sure there's interaction. So it takes some thought and it takes some planning, to be sure. And I'm not saying don't do those other things, go bowling, golf, or whatever, but there needs to be a moment where there's more interaction, forced interaction with your employees, because the more your employees know each other, the more they get along, the better you can retain them because they see their team as family. So just make sure that when you're planning time, you're planning the time and not sort of making it an afterthought. And the last tip I want to share is just listen to your team. Get to know your team, know their vibes, know what they're thinking, know what they're saying. Don't create a barrier between you and your team. Make a space for them to talk to you and you can be in part of that conversation. And they're going to tell you what they need. Now, not everybody's needs are going to be the same, but as the leader, you can start to see themes in what your team is asking for, wants, needs, desires. And by meeting those as much as you can as a leader or a firm owner, you're really going to elevate your retention of talent across the board. So just have an ear to your team. Make sure you're in tune with what they're thinking, what they're happy about, maybe what they're frustrated about. All that thing is going to help you to understand better how to retain that talent. Okay, everybody, short and sweet this week, but I think retention of talent is a critical piece for firm owners and leaders to think about, especially now that we're in a different world with hybrid work and people here and there. It needs to be intentional. So make sure that your policies, procedures, and approach are intentional around these topics, around these tips, because it'll help you retain that talent and help it grow within your firm. As always, like and share this Design and Dialogue out. I want to make sure that people are getting it. And if you think there's a firm owner that you know that could benefit from it, share it on. I'd love for them to see it. And as always, if you have questions, you can reach out to me through the information below. Have a great Wednesday, everyone, and I will see you next week. Bye.